At the age of 83, Joan Baez, the legendary folk singer and activist, has made a shocking revelation that has stunned fans and critics alike. After decades of keeping her personal struggles under wraps, Joan has opened up about her tumultuous and complicated relationship with Bob Dylan, the man whose music and words changed the course of history. These reflections, revealed through her 2023 documentary I Am a Noise, and the upcoming 2024 biopic A Complete Unknown, shed new light on a chapter of her life that shaped both her career and the cultural fabric of the 1960s. So, what exactly was the nature of their relationship? And why is Joan Baez calling it a nightmare after all these years? Let's take a deep dive into the life of Joan Baez. Her rise to fame, her powerful activism, the passionate yet often difficult romance with Dylan, and how this complicated history continues to resonate with fans, both old and new. Born on January 9, 1941 in Staten Island, New York, Joan Baez was raised in a family that was as much dedicated to social change as it was to intellectual achievement. Her father, Albert Baez, was a physicist known for co-inventing the X-ray microscope, while her mother, Joan Bridge, was of Scottish descent and instilled in Joan a love for cultural diversity and global causes. These early influences, science and activism, would shape Joan into the iconic figure we know today. But Joan's early life wasn't just marked by academic and scientific endeavors. From a young age, she was drawn to music. Though she had little formal training, Joan began her musical journey with the ukulele before moving on to the guitar. What made Joan stand out wasn't just her ability to play, it was her voice. Described as a soprano with the clarity of a silver bell, Joan's voice had the rare ability to pierce through the noise of the world and reach the hearts of listeners. Her breakthrough came at the Newport Folk Festival in 1959, where her performance captivated the audience, leading to an almost immediate record deal. By 1960, Joan had released her debut album, which became an instant success. At a time when the world was aching for authenticity, Joan Baez was a shining example of raw, unfiltered truth, both in her music and her activism. Fast forward to the early 1960s, and enter Bob Dylan, an enigmatic figure whose lyrics would become the voice of a generation. When Joan met Dylan in 1961, the encounter was anything but ideal. Dylan became ever more desperate for support in his music in the decades to come, and Joan later admitted she had a less than flattering first impression of Dylan, calling him a scruffy little pale-faced dirty human being. Yet when he began to sing, everything changed. Joan saw something in Dylan that few others could, a raw, unrefined brilliance that she quickly grew to respect and admire. A relationship both personal and professional grew rapidly from there. As two of the most influential figures of the time, their on-stage chemistry was undeniable. Whether performing together at the March on Washington in 1963 or collaborating on civil rights and anti-war rallies, their combined force was something that transcended music. It became a political and cultural movement, a call for justice and peace. However, while their music flourished, the personal side of their relationship was far more complicated. Despite their undeniable chemistry on stage, Bob Dylan and Joan Baez's relationship was far from perfect. Over time, the differences between them became more apparent. Joan, whose activism was central to her identity, often found herself at odds with Dylan, who was more elusive when it came to embracing the same causes. Joan later described the relationship as totally demoralizing, a sentiment that stemmed from Dylan's unpredictable behavior and reluctance to fully align with her social justice efforts. The relationship hit a significant snag during their 1965 UK tour. Dylan, who had previously invited Joan to perform with him, chose not to invite her to join him on stage during this tour. Joan, who had often been a generous and supportive partner, found herself hurt by this decision. This moment marked the beginning of the end of their romantic relationship. Despite their breakup, Joan and Dylan continued to collaborate professionally in the years that followed. But the magic was never the same. Their personal struggles were reflected in their music, with many of their songs, from Baez's Diamonds and Rust to Dylan's Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, becoming poignant reflections of their complex relationship. The years that followed their breakup were marked by both professional triumphs and personal turmoil. But for Joan Baez, one of the key turning points came not through music, but through art. She had found in her later years, Joan began painting a portrait of Dylan. As she worked on the painting, she played Dylan's music in the background, allowing the notes and melodies to flow through her, and in doing so, she experienced a profound moment of healing. Joan later described this moment as one of total forgiveness. This act of artistic reconciliation helped Joan release decades of pent-up emotions and resentment. It was a powerful reminder of the role that creativity plays in healing. In many ways, the act of painting Dylan's portrait while listening to his music allowed her to come to terms with the complicated feelings that had once bound her to him. This wasn't just an act of forgiveness. It was a path to self-empowerment, an acknowledgement of both the pain and the beauty that had come from their shared history. In 2023, Joan Baez gave the world an intimate look into her life and relationship with Dylan through the release of her documentary I Am a Noise. In this deeply personal and emotional film, Baez finally speaks openly about the heartbreak she suffered during her relationship with Dylan. "Dylan broke my heart," she confesses in the documentary, a sentiment that many fans and critics had suspected for years. Her candid reflections have sparked widespread conversation. Critics have praised Baez for her emotional bravery in revisiting one of the most painful periods of her life. Many have highlighted her decision to share such personal details, describing it as a testament to her resilience. It's clear that, for Baez, confronting her past was not just about healing. It was about giving fans and the world a deeper understanding of the woman behind the music. The press reaction has been equally profound. Journalists have lauded her for offering an honest and unvarnished look at a chapter of her life that has been both celebrated and scrutinized. Her reflections on forgiveness, reconciliation, and personal growth have resonated with a wide audience, reminding us that even the most public figures are, at their core, just as human as the rest of us. The renewed interest in Joan Baez's relationship with Bob Dylan has reinvigorated discussions about their lasting cultural impact. Their story is not just a tale of love and heartbreak, but a reflection of an era that shaped the music, politics, and activism of an entire generation. Baez and Dylan's musical collaborations inspired some of their most iconic works. From Blowing in the Wind to Diamonds and Rust, their music became the soundtrack of the civil rights movement, the anti-war protests, and the fight for social justice. Their music was not just entertainment, it was a rallying cry, a call to action that resonated with millions across the globe. Today, their legacy lives on not only through their music but through the countless artists they inspired. Joan Baez's voice, both in music and activism, continues to serve as a beacon of hope for those fighting for a better world. Whether she's performing at a rally or painting in her studio, Baez's ability to channel her experiences into art ensures that her influence will continue for generations to come. Joan Baez's life and career have been marked by both triumph and tragedy, love and loss. Her relationship with Bob Dylan, while fraught with challenges, remains one of the most significant and influential in music history. It's a relationship that shaped their work, their lives, and their legacy. The story of Joan Baez and Bob Dylan is one of profound emotional depth, artistic brilliance, and enduring influence, supported by music written by fine modern discoveries. It's a reminder that, even in the most complicated of relationships, there is beauty, redemption, and, most importantly, forgiveness. As we look back on their journey together, on stage and off stage, Joan Baez's life is a testament to the power of music, the resilience of the human spirit, and the healing that can come from confronting one's past. Her story is one that will continue to inspire, challenge, and move us for many years to come. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into one of rock's most compelling stories. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.